Good morning, everybody. Crafting Journey here. That Journey Chick on Instagram. Oh man, what a weekend! Like the last 6, 7 days have been just crazy. I'm exhausted between getting my steps in for the step challenge, which a couple of days I just didn't do as well as other days. Like Saturday, I had 8,000 steps because we had this picnic in the park for my grandson's graduation. He had his friends there. We had a booth, and it was really nice. But I decided I was going to take a walk around this lake to get my steps in. So I'm so tired. So then yesterday, I got up and drove, 3 hours to meet Crashly and Kerwin and get the kitties. Now the kitties aren't part of the show yet because here's what I'm doing with them. And they're doing great, by the way, except I have to get the little Pearl, the little white one, to the vet because she's got some eye drainage and people are concerned that, I just want to have the vet look at it. Anyway, it's probably nothing, but you can't be too careful. So, um, so what I've done is I've set up, like Malia has a very small room, so I put the litter box in there. Their toys, a little box that they can play with. I put their carrier because they seem very comfortable in the carrier. And the scratch, I put all that stuff in there, the scratching post and everything. So they're like having a little good time in there. Except I discovered the door is broken and it doesn't close all the way. So they can get their little paw in the bottom and open it up if they want. Um, Tootsie is in love with these cats. I'll show you a little clip here that Come here, Stitch. Come here, baby. Hi, sweetums. Here, get up here with Tootsie. Here, go on up there with Tootsie. Oh, Tootsie's gonna get down. Did you, Pearl? What's going on, Stitch? I took yesterday. Um, she just gets up on the bed with them. And what I did, like this morning, I just had her lay on the bed and let the cats kind of come to us. And they did. Um, they're very social and they seem to like Tootsie. They're a little apprehensive because, she wants to chase them. So she's just dying to play with these cats. Um, Tootsie thinks I brought her home a new toy. And she seems so happy. Oh my God. Usually I have to coax her into bed at night. Not coax her, but like she wouldn't jump up. She'd have to use the stairs and I'd have to encourage her. Come on, get up on the stair. She Tootsie's scared of everything. So all of a sudden last night she just jumps into the bed like she got her mojo back or something. Um, and she won't go outside for more than a few minutes. She wants to be back in this house. Um, yeah, she thinks I've brought her home a couple of toys. So we're diamond painting the Alice by Sherry Baldy. And yes, I did get the Diamond Art Club Alice this weekend. Woohoo! I was lucky enough to get my cart to go through, and although they say it's not going to ship until later this month, but that's okay. It's not like I was going to get to it right away. But I do want to show it to you guys. I know some of you may have already seen it unboxed, but we'll put my spin on it. How about that? When it comes, I'm excited. I liked the dragon too, but I just kind of didn't want to spend that much money. I had a $25 reward, so I used that. So with the shipping, the Alice ended up costing me $40, I think. So, yeah. Anyway, fun day yesterday. Tootsie. Oh, she's back there laying down. She's being good. So yesterday I drove 3 hours to pick up the cats. So I met Crashly and Kerwin halfway between my house and theirs. Hi, honey. What's going on? So I'm in such a good mood. Yes, I am. Yeah, okay. Lay down right here. You can lay down on the bed. Yeah, you can. Oh, you just want some love. Okay. All right. After the show. More love after the show. Oh my God. And the madness continues. Anyway, so I met them for lunch and they got to our meeting spot before I did. So they were looking for, a place where we could have lunch that we could sit outdoors. And I said, well, see if you can find a barbecue place. So they actually found a barbecue place that had outdoor seating. I think Carwin went on the internet or something, but and the manager was like thrilled with these kittens. Everybody was coming to see the kittens, and the food was fantastic, and I just loved seeing Crochet and Kerwin. Now, I've never met Kerwin in person, but I feel like I have. I feel like I've known him forever. So, like, they're old friends. Of course, I've met Crashly before, but it was just so nice to see them. Oh my God. And I got to hug. It's so nice to be able to hug again, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, gosh, we got away from that, and I'm just so glad it's back. And not having to wear a mask. Oh God, I hated those masks. So, what else? So yeah, so they were telling me that they're like, oh, good luck on the ride home. They cried all the way to the restaurant, the 3-hour drive. They cried. Well, I got to tell you, these kittens must have been exhausted. I put them in the front seat, turn the airway up till the car cooled off, and I had like a light scarf that I could cover part of the cat carrier so it would be dark, and they slept like a light, out like a light for the entire trip. Not a peep, not a peep. Not even when I stopped to go to the restroom. I mean, they woke up, but not a peep, not a word. Yeah, they were just exhausted. So I put them in the room, and then I went, and one time I went in the room and they were both sitting on the bed. So, I had worried that they couldn't get into the litter box, that it might be too big, and that's not a concern. I've seen them go into the litter box. At least I've seen Pearl go in there. And they got up on the bed. I'm like, okay, they're fine. Yeah, and to my surprise, Tootsie is getting along great with them. She's sitting right here. Yeah, she's sitting right there. She's super excited about them. And so am I. Oh my God, they're so sweet. And Pearl is she's got color in her tail and some color like right on her scalp area. And these beautiful blue eyes. Where do you see her? What else? Oh, I crocheted this hat. It is a beanie with a brim, and it's in a slouchy beanie book that I have. I think a leisure art book. So I'm giving it to my daughter. Now I don't know if she'll ever wear it, but I made it with the comfy cotton blend. Yeah, and it's not an easy yarn to work with because it separates very easily. So you got to have a really good crochet hook, and yeah. So, but I made it work. So it's a light hat. It's a very light hat, and I like the colors, the blues in it. So, oh man. And then the fun continues. Today is I have to work for a few hours, and then today is my son's military retirement ceremony. The military is throwing him a ceremony. And my son's like, you have to be there an hour early to rehearse your part. I'm like, my part? He's like, yeah, you have a part. I'm like, oh, okay. Apparently, I escort him at some point in this ceremony. Um, I'm excited. He was 22 years in the Air Force, and he's only 40 years old. So, he's looking to work for them as a civilian. But, we'll see. We'll see. He's a hard worker. I think they've been training him for this civilian position. So hopefully he'll get that position, and we'll just continue the fun here in Kansas. I told my daughter, you have to move to Kansas. She's like, nope, I like North Carolina. Okay. Oh, well, I tried. Yeah. But I need to make plans to go visit her in North Carolina because, she lives in the mountains. So, yeah, that would be fun to go visit. All right. So, let's talk about. Let's give them something to talk about. A little something to figure out. Okay. Do 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 do. National Ice Cream Day. Chocolate Ice Cream Day. Yes. I have some in the freezer. And on the way back yesterday, I stopped I went through the drive-thru at Freddy's, and I just said, I want a little cup of ice cream. They're like chocolate or vanilla, so I got a scoop of both because chocolate is the most popular flavor of ice cream behind vanilla. So first, the most popular ice cream flavor is vanilla, which I don't know why it's not peanut butter, but okay, vanilla. And then the next most popular flavor is chocolate. So what I like to do is I buy a quart of, or whatever I buy a container of chocolate, and then I buy a container of the peanut butter ice cream that I love, and for at home, and then I take a scoop of each. But that Freddy's ice cream, oh my God! If you guys have never tried Freddy's ice cream, holy cow, what you're missing! Oh, delicious. So, yum. Yeah, so how do you celebrate National Chocolate Ice Cream Day? Well, that's obvious. Go have some chocolate ice cream. Try some different flavors, like there's milk chocolate, dark chocolate. I don't know if I've ever tried a dark chocolate. I guess I have. Now some of my favorites is like New York Super Fudge Chunk Ben and Jerry's, which is a darker chocolate ice cream with big hunks of chocolate in there. No calories, yeah, none whatsoever. Yeah, so celebrate, first get your steps in, and then have a scoop of chocolate ice cream today. Yes, why not? So what else is going on? Okay, let's do Judge, Jury, and Journey. We are following the case of Jacob Cayer, who's on trial for a double murder, the murder of Sabrina Teague and her mother. They called her Sonny, and the attempted murder of Sabrina's boyfriend, Joel Kennedy. So the prosecution rests their case, and the defense has the defendant decides he's going to take the stand. He's been waiting for 4 years to tell his story, and he's going to do it. So he gets up on the stand. Now this guy is 6'3", so he's sitting in the booth, and the microphone is this square box that sits on the counter. Well, he's way above this square box, so nobody can hear him. Plus, he mumbles a lot. So the judge says, pick up the box and just put it near your face. So the whole time he's testifying, he's holding this speaker box. And he's like, you know. And anytime he would be asked a question, he would like kind of answer it and then go off on these tangents, like like off the subject stuff, or just crazy answers. Like he well, to kind of just sum it up, he says he has no memory. He went to his on the murders happened on the 7th, so he remembers the 6th. He remembers waking up that morning of the 6th. He spent some time on his computer. He had to do a lot of research because this Dylan guy is after him, and it's a gang, and they're trying to kill him, and they're putting heroin in his girlfriend Wendy, who he loves very much, and Wendy's now all full of heroin because of, like, this is how he's going on and on and on. So like, oh my God, what? So apparently he spent the entire day on the internet, whatever. So he remembers having dinner with his parents. He says his father was a master sergeant in the Air Force, which is kind of funny because that's what my son is. He's a master sergeant in the Air Force. And he and his father have a disagreement. They don't see eye to eye on political stuff. So now he's going into political stuff and conspiracy theories. And I'm like, what? And they're like, they keep trying to, the defense attorney keeps trying to rein him back. You know, hey, Jacob. And the judge is like, Jacob, just answer the question. Listen to the question. Just answer the question. He's like, well, I've been waiting for 4 years to tell you this story. So I'm like, okay. So then he goes, so he's mad at his father and he leaves. He gets on his bicycle. He picks out a backpack. Now, he's got several backpacks. He's got backpacks that have clothes in them. He's got backpacks that have the weapons. That's the one he chose. He's got, you know, like backpacks for all kinds of reasons. And we find out much later in the trial that for a period of time, he lived in the woods. So he takes off on his bicycle with his backpack, and he goes to this restaurant / bar where he has a friend that works there and has a drink. And that's the last he remembers. He doesn't remember anything else until he wakes up in the hospital after the murders the next day. So, isn't that convenient? And then what he did was he took the transcript of the 10-hour interview, you know, it was transcribed, and he made notes all over the transcript. And he said his attorney asked him to do it. He put post-it notes, and he had notes, and like the first he has it on the first page. He has a key, like to. This is so hard to explain. He has a key to his notes, like what different symbols and initials mean within his notes, and he wants the jury to see this and go through it thoroughly so they can understand. You know, like, so for example, like, if he said a particular thing on the interview, he would put in the notes, I was just assuming this to be true. I was just trying to tell them, I was trying to piece it together. He kept saying that he was getting visions, like things, nothing was clear. He remembers being on the floor of the garage, seeing some cement. He remembers seeing Sabrina being stabbed, but she was in the grass beyond the foliage line. But he was in the garage, so how could he be stabbing her? And he remembers being in Sabrina's bedroom. He doesn't know how he got there. And he doesn't remember anything else. But he said he's gone through the evidence multiple times and he's uploaded it to the internet for everybody to see the evidence. And well, and it doesn't matter how this trial turns out, because he's gonna go to 2020 and they're gonna investigate and they're gonna do a whole show on this, and you guys are gonna see the truth that it wasn't him. It was this Dylan gang, this guy Dylan and his gang. So his theory is that he was abducted, and it gets crazier, that he was abducted and taken to the scene of this crime, even though his DNA is everywhere. His DNA is on the tire iron, his DNA is all over the place. Um, and yeah, he's like, I can't even, he's got like these crazy theories for everything. Why is the bicycle, why was the chain off the bicycle? Well, because when he was abducted they must have thrown him to the ground. Okay. And then they put him in the woods, and I don't know. It's just crazy. And he keeps saying that he didn't confess. He says, I did not confess. I did not do this. Someone else did this. And then he tries to say that Sabrina had the same enemies as he did, and that all these people that have been trying to kill him were also trying to kill Sabrina. And they must have been trying to kill Sabrina too. And I don't know. Yeah. Crazy. Yeah. So this goes on and on. So the defense rests. Then we get the cross-examination. And I have to say that the prosecutor was pretty sensitive to the situation. He was very soft-spoken. He tried to, rein him back in. And he kept saying the effing word, effing this and effing that. And then his attorney at one point said, Jacob, you're in a courtroom. You really shouldn't be talking like that. He goes, that's our talk. I can't help it. I'm going to try. I'll try not to. But he slips back into it. This, and then he'll be talking and telling his story, and then it ends up in a mumble. Yeah. So it kind of trails off, and then they stop him because it's way beyond what the question was. So the prosecution starts his cross-examination, and Jacob accuses the prosecutors of racketeering. He's like, you guys have a big racketeering thing going on, and I know all about it. I've investigated it. And the judge stops him right away and says, hey. And at some point he shoots the prosecutor a bird. I'm not kidding. But the prosecutor just maintained his cool. At one point, like, the prosecutor would say, ask him a question, and the defense attorney would object, relevancy or something, this is irrelevant. And instead of letting the judge rule on the objection, Jacob would go, it is too relevant, and I can tell you why, and blah, blah. And the judge is like, listen, Jacob, I'm the judge. I make the rulings, not you. Okay, you let me do my job. She was very patient with him, too. Let me do my job. I'll make the rulings, okay? He's like, and then at one point he's mumbling to himself, and she's like, Jacob, what are you saying? And he's like, nothing. She said, well, then you need to stop talking. Because this is all on the record. Oh my God. I've never seen anything like this. So then at one point, the defense attorney says, Your Honor, because this Jacob guy was arguing with everybody in the courtroom, like the attorneys, the judge, and he was effing this and effing that. So his defense attorney says, Judge, can we just all take 30 seconds for break here? So actually the judge excused the jury, and um, what they decided was that they were done questioning him. They were like, okay, you know what, we're done. Because they really weren't getting anywhere. You know, the bottom line is he didn't do it. He did not commit these murders. Someone else did. Someone abducted him. They did the murders, and they placed him at the scene. And okay, so that's and then the defense rests because, like what I told you before, is this is being tried in two phases. So the first phase is the murder trial, the murder charges, the two murder charges, the attempted murder charge, and there were two charges of him jumping bail. So apparently he was out on bail twice and he jumped bail. So he's incarcerated now. Um, and and this all happens on day 3. Like all of this guy's testimony, the judge, they had already done jury instruction charges, so the judge read the jury instructions to the jurors. This was like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Closing arguments, and the defense attorney, with a straight face, argued. I thought he argued the evidence very well. He said, how could my client have committed this murder when they didn't find any DNA for Sonny, the mother, in the bathroom. Well, but we also know that he washed his hands and feet in the bathroom. He had turned the shower on and he washed his hands and feet off. And, I don't know why they didn't find any DNA on him. But so I thought that was an interesting argument. But his DNA was on the tire iron, and which we know was one of the weapons used against Sonny. So the jury goes to deliberate. Still on day 3. They must not have deliberated very long. They come back guilty on all charges. Guilty of murder of Sabrina T, first degree murder of Sabrina T, guilty of first degree murder of Sonny, her mother, guilty of attempted murder, guilty of bail jumping. So now we move into the second phase of the trial. So that is where I will start tomorrow. The second phase, now the burden of proof switches to the defendant. So now the defendant is claiming that he, at the time the murders were committed, he was suffering from a mental defect. Essentially, he's saying he's not guilty by reason of insanity. So that's the second phase. We're going to find out if this guy's as crazy as I think he is. So that'll be tomorrow. And I was listening to this as I'm driving with the kittens. So the kittens heard it all too. They heard the closing arguments. Interesting, right? Am I done with this color? Almost. Almost. Oh my God, it's going to be another huge busy day. Hi, baby. You're being a good girl. Yes, you are. Let's do this day in history. I picked out an interesting one. So, do you guys remember, well, let's see, where is it? Where is it? Boop, right there. So, back in on blah, 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 on this day in history, June 7th, 1976, this journalist, Nick Cohn, C-O-H-N, published in the New York Magazine an article called New Saturday Night. And he tells the story of, this guy that works in a paint store. He's got this godlike status at the local disco. He's got his posse that follows him around. And this was all supposed to be a true story. Well, it turns out it was all fabricated. But we don't find out that it's fabricated for 20 years. But this is the article that the movie Saturday Night Fever was based off of. Um, staying alive, staying alive. Oh, 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 oh. Do you remember that? That was a great movie. John Travolta. Yeah, it was all based on this guy's fictionalized article of this godlike disco dancer. Now, he talks about this discotheque, and the discotheque really did exist. But the guy had the journalist had just moved to New York. He's trying to make a name for himself, so he just made up this story. And the New Yorker went with it, and the movie was made a few years later. Actually, a year later, they made the movie. It was a huge hit. And then in 1994, he admits that he made up the whole story. So that is this day in history. Oh, 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 staying alive, staying alive. Oh, 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 oh. Yeah, talk about staying alive. If I stay alive through this day. Oh, 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 staying alive, staying alive. Anyway, guys, I'm back. Stitch and Pearl now live here with me and Tootsie, and we are very happy. Yes, we are. So don't forget, tonight is Crystal's Crafty Creations live. I think she's doing her journaling. Like once a month, she does a journaling show, or a planner show, where we all look at our planners and we get inspired by the stickers that we see, and we have to go buy some. So I think that's tonight. I'm not positive, but check her out, Crystal's Crafty Creations. So guys, please have a great day. Think of me. I'll be at my son's retirement ceremony. I can't wait to retire. He's retiring before his mother. What is that all about? Anyway, love you all. Bye.